stories of people who made a change. My name is Andrew Osenga, and my guest today is Amy Grant. Look, I'm not going to tell you who Amy Grant is, you know, but I will tell you who Amy is to me. I, of course, grew up with Amy Grant. She was the first CD I ever bought because I bought my first CD player at Walmart with my paper route money when I was 13, and hers was the only Christian CD at Walmart, so it was the only one I was allowed to buy. I listened to it nonstop. We had a book of children's Bible stories that had her picture on it. Christmas happens every year. We listen to Amy Grant. I grew up on Amy Grant. But then I started working in the Christian music business, first as an artist and then working at record labels. And so I've gotten to work with Amy a little bit. And she has been kinder and more thoughtful, and she's what you hoped. And that's really incredible. Everybody in Nashville knows that Amy's got a farm that's just south of town, and lots of things happen out there. She's always hosting things. My kids have gone to summer camp out there. She hosts big events. There was this album called Songs from the Loft that had like youth group songs sung at it, and my youth group sang those songs when I was in high school. She had said to me once, "Hey, if you ever need to get away for a day, like we've got these, the cabins up on the hill, just let me know and come up and use them." A couple years ago, life had gotten pretty stressful with my job, and my wife had been really ill. It turned out it was cancer, but we didn't know that yet. I needed to get away. So I was like, I'm going to text Amy Grant. I can't believe I'm doing this. And I did. "Hey, Amy, it's Andrew. Could I come out to the farm? I could use a day." And she responded like almost immediately, "Of course. When do you want to come? Let me know how to get in," and the whole deal was just couldn't have been kinder. So I went out, I brought that red guitar right there, and this microphone that I'm recording this podcast on, and I took a nap in the cabin. I recorded some old hymns. I went for a big hike. It was a great day. That was almost 3 years ago now. We've been through all kinds of craziness, but I recently kind of found those songs that I had recorded on my hard drive. I just started putting them out. I realize this sounds like a plug for my music. It's really not. I'm trying to tell you who Amy is, and that informs kind of the conversation that we're going to have. Some other things that you're going to hear in this conversation are that she's in a room with like her manager and Vince's audio engineer, who's kind of set up the microphone and the camera. And so there's some people like kind of walking around, I think, in the room when I'm talking with Amy. And at some point, Amy and Jen start talking to each other too, which is just hilarious. And I love it. That's one of my favorite things about this form of interview. We get to see people just being themselves. But I've been a big fan of Amy from afar. I'm a bigger fan of Amy up close. I know you're going to love this conversation with Amy Grant. I really appreciate you making time to chat.
I'm curious about all the women in your life right now.
There are a lot of them. They all say hello.
Thank you.
We're doing okay. Everybody's doing okay. Thank you for asking. Well, I would love to tell you about this podcast and what we're doing here. And so this is not a music show. The podcast is called The Pivot, and I talk to people about what happens when life stops working the way it used to. So
Ooh.
I think you might have some experience with that.
I mean, and you, man.
Yeah. So I feel like you've always been really honest about that kind of stuff. And this record in particular, you do talk about a lot of that kind of stuff, about some of the changes that you've gone through and a lot of the hardship that you've gone through. It's been a long time since you've put out new music, and I feel like this album is kind of a documentation of a lot of that. It's been 13 years since you put out new music. Why now? Why do you feel like this is the moment to do this?
Well, can I tell you just a little bit about how the record was made?
Sure.
So I didn't have a record deal. I never signed a producer deal with Mac McAnally. Everything about this recording experience, the songwriting, everything was different than it's ever been before. I reached out to songwriters myself because I had sort of I've always been a stronger lyricist than I am a musician, but, just especially when these songs were being written, still had so many short-term memory issues
Wow.
with and with a lyric, it's just right here.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have to remember that. But with a melody, that's hard. And
Hmm.
so it was really, a limitation, a personal limitation created a new path.
Wow.
And so I didn't have a record deal, but I was writing it was just a part of my recovery process. And I say that because I had had a bike wreck, the summer of 22,
Yeah.
and then almost 2 years later, it was time for me to be tested at Vanderbilt
Hmm.
because they say, 2 years is the big recovery. And, anyway, so I had hours of testing, and then I went in for the results. And clearly, these are all people that have endured some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
But 2 of the test scores were in the 90s and 1 was in the 20s.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Ugh, I knew that. I knew that."
Could you feel it?
Oh, yeah, and he said, "So tell me." It was that the thing the details of the test don't matter,
Sure.
but it was my experience of that. He said, "Tell me how this exhibits in your life." And I said, "I feel myself pulling back.
Hmm.
I feel myself pulling back." And he said, "Here's my advice to you. Lean in."
Hmm.
And so, um, yeah. And so I thought, okay, within a few weeks, I was sitting actually in the room I'm in right now, and I was like, lean in, like, okay, I've just got to I got to look in the mirror. This is what I've got. And so, the first lyric written I was just writing a poem, The
Hmm.
Me That Remains. And it was like, no, you don't have the you of 10 years ago. You don't have the
Hmm.
you of 3 years ago. You got this one,
Yeah.
you know? And so, but I thought that to me, that song felt so specific about my journey,
Yeah.
and I could kind of even reference an accident. But the first person I read the poem to before it was even a song went, "Oh my gosh, like that's my story."
Wow.
And so, yeah, and it just made me want to write more. I mean, I'd forgotten how great writing is, just such great therapy.
Yeah.
And so I've just thought, I'm gonna lean back into music. I'm gonna
Hmm.
lean back into writing continuing to work on being able to play old songs. I kept
Yeah.
thinking, well,
Had you
hey,
had you kind of lost that?
mhm,
Wow.
yeah. And part of it, it's not, it's just like a song that I would have played many, many times. I'd pick it up and I'd go, "What shape did I do this song on? What's the next
Yeah.
chord?" You
Wow.
know, but all that was just like, you know, you can just walk away, let it be what it is, or you can lean in and, you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that experience, it's like it's no different from it's no different than anytime anything happens that even good things, every woman that's ever carried a child full term gives birth and then goes back to her closet and goes, "Nothing fits." Nothing. And there's not a playbook for that, but
Yeah.
things happen to us all the time, and it's
Yeah.
just like, it doesn't matter what it is. You kinda go, "Well, am I gonna fight to get anything back, or am I just gonna
Well, and this
go
wasn't
from
the
here?"
first thing that you'd gone through. When I really got to know you, you had just had like open heart surgery.
That's right, yeah, yeah.
I felt like we had kind of similar conversations as you were just
Mhm.
fighting to come back from that. So you've had like a decade of fighting through this stuff.
I had 5 years of a lot of recovery, And it just made me realize that everyone is always in some state of recovery.
Huh.
You can't live life and not be. And every other experience in life kind of prepares you for the next step, whatever it is. And, you know, I've always been a hard worker. And
Mhm.
so, you know, it's like, oh, okay, well, now this is the work cut out for me.
Wow.
Okay, well, all right, here's the new work cut out. All right, well, here we go again.
Yeah.
But to me, yeah, and what I've loved in the last couple of years, I have so appreciated the gift of discovering what can be accomplished with consistent effort
Hmm.
over a long period of time. What can be accomplished. And that could be learning to play an instrument. You don't sit down for 48 hours and just, you know, I will learn this song. If you just
Yeah.
return to it, I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes first thing in the morning. I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes middle of the day. I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're trying to learn a skill, if you're trying to paint a picture, if you're trying to write a song, if you're trying to get healthy, if you're investing in a relationship, you know, it's
Hmm.
like everything is the result of incremental change over the long haul.
Yeah.
And that I just feel like that's just been the the beautiful lesson of a long season of recovery.
Yeah. How do you feel like you are different now on the other side of this? The you that remains.
I'm older. Yeah, I'm older and, you know, I mean, my processing is different. Um, and I feel like I am, on a good day, you know, forgiving of myself and others.
Hmm.
And,
In a different way?
um, I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Um, not every morning, but most mornings, I wake up and I remember my daughter Sarah's in her 30s, but her crib when she was a baby girl was also it was in the guest room. And
Hmm.
so I had a couple in from Texas. This was decades ago. And, you know, they have to kind of slide into the bed. The baby's already asleep. But the next morning, they got so tickled, they said, that daughter of yours, she woke up and threw her arms up in the air and said, I wake up. Just like this is
Wow.
the big news. And I that is how I feel in the mornings now. I'm like, ah, I woke up.
Huh.
I got another day. I wake up.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about another song?
Mhm.
Maybe my favorite song on the album, which is really beautiful, by the way. The whole record is really beautiful.
Thank you.
The song that uh, I have listened to over and over is this song, "Beautiful Lone Companion."
Mm.
I feel like we could probably talk for an hour just about that song. There's so
Mhm.
much in it.
Mhm.
Um, it but there one of the lines that really sticks out to me is, "You may feel him in your body, weighing heavy as a thought, or every notion of his mind is everything he's not." This idea of embodiment and our our bodies being more than just what takes us from, the couch to the car. I'm
Mhm.
curious what your journey has been to sort of coming awake to your awareness of the concept of the body, because I feel like that's something that you really have thought about a
Mhm.
lot.
Mhm. A prayer that I pray a lot, or a phrase that I find myself using in prayer,
Hmm.
especially if I'm praying for somebody else, if I'm praying for peace or healing, or anything, help in any kind, but the phrase, please come to me and through me. To my friend, come to me and through me. And what I feel about our bodies is that our experience comes to us because we're in a body. I mean, the human experience, because we are in these bodies. Everybody's is so different. Our hearing is different. Our taste buds are different. The way we see it is different. Our experience of anything is going to be unique because you are one of a kind. How you perceive something. I just think that at an earlier time in my life, I was less aware of how unique everybody's experience is.
Huh.
When you're young, you're part of a family, and then you're part of for a lot of part of a couple, then you make your own family. Oh, I'm joining this group. Oh, I'm putting on that jersey. I'm aligning with this group. Nothing in life feels that way to me now. To me, it feels like we are in this shared space together, and your experience of it is different than my experience of it. We're on opposite sides of this issue, but we're all a part of it. We all helped create the problem. If there's going to be any kind of help or resolution, it's going to take all of us. And I'm just talking about so many different things right now, but everybody has their own routines in the morning. I have a routine of movements that I do several times a day, just so I can keep moving.
Yeah.
Anything you do, anything I do today, I can do tomorrow. And I don't even call it exercise. It's a little pattern of movements. It takes about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And it always makes me smile, so I call it child's play. And Vince makes fun of me all the time. But like if we're going to go somewhere, hey, let's go grab a late lunch. Let's go. And I'll say, can I just do child's play real quickly? And we can talk, while I'm doing it. Or he'll, yeah. But he knows exactly what I'm going to do anyway. But
does he ever do it with you?
No, he does a few moves. In fact, the other day I said, I feel like you're eventually going to do this with me. And he said, I'm going to tell you, not in my life. I'm just telling you now, I'm never, ever going to do this with you. But I don't even know why I brought that up. Oh, I do. I know why. Because the reason I do it is because however life unfolds, I want my skin machine, I want this thing to be prepared and nimble. I'm not an athlete, but it's like I just want to do the basic preparation. To me, it's like tuning a guitar. And it's like the things that matter to you, just take care of it. I mean, you get older and you realize actually caring for something, a person or something, is a big part of loving it. Caring for, I just remember having a car when I was younger, and it was an old car, and I just loved keeping it clean.
Will you teach my teenage daughters this?
Even as I said that, I thought, well, mostly it was dirty, but every once in a while I'd clean it inside and out, and it felt good. Yeah.
No, I love that. That's really a beautiful image. And I feel that as I get older, I know that feeling too. Yeah. Well, I resonate with that. That whole song, I think, speaks to this awakening of this kind of mystery of finding the edges of yourself and realizing that they're maybe a little hazy. It's a really beautiful image. Another song that stuck out to me was the Other Side of Goodbye. This song you wrote with Tom Douglas, who is you're a hero of mine. Tom is also a hero of mine. So I was excited to get to this song when I saw
Yes.
your names on it together. One of the things I love about this song is how brief it is. I think there's 13 lines in the whole song.
Mhm.
As a songwriter, the construction of it, I think, is just brilliant. You use so few words to say so much. It's so
Mm.
powerful. But it's this picture of this thing that you have loved and taken care of, it ending,
Mhm.
uh, and with these beautiful images. Would you tell me the story of this song? Why did you want to write this song? Why did you want to write it with Tom? Where'd it come from?
Mhm.
And your daughters sing on it too, is that right?
Yes.
Wow, it's
Karina and
amazing.
Sarah. Yeah. Well, every creative thing starts in as something that you don't really know what it's gonna be, and then the way it emerges is what makes the art.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, anyway, in a conversation, I spoke the phrase. I had just delivered a cup of coffee to a house guest in our home.
Mhm.
We were wrapping up a really big project. She had taken a lot of pictures. It was kind of emotional.
Hmm.
And she said, "Do you wanna see any of this film?" And I was like, "Whoo." We weren't done with the job, and I said and I'm walking out, I said, let's just save that for the other side of goodbye." And and
Oh,
I'm
that's
walking
good.
I'm walking down the stairs, and she said, That's another song, write it down." But what I love was it was just a conversation,
Yeah,
and she wrote it down. And then later
wonderful.
she said, "Do you remember this phrase that just fell out of your mouth?" And, uh, and so I had that written on a piece of paper.
Hmm.
And actually, years before my mother had passed, it's 15 years this month.
Wow.
And, anyway, and so, the way we do with a song idea or a hook or a title is you're always just kind of it you know, it just kind of sloshes around inside. And then I thought about the morning that my mom passed and just how it was such an experience for our family that she'd been in hospice for almost 3 weeks at our home.
Oh, wow.
And so, and so the night that my 3 sisters and I Thursday, we just said, "Just write down 10 phrases that remind you of some experience of mom's life." And by then she was eyes closed, non-communicative, but my dad was a physician. He said, "Hearing's the last thing to go." And I reached out to my sisters and said, "Let's have a girls' night in, and don't write out what you're gonna say, but just think of 10 memories of mom and just a word or a phrase that can jog your mind.
Oh,
And
wow.
let's just sit around her bed and reminisce." And one of my sisters, who no longer drinks, says, "This might require some alcohol." And I said, "I'll have the wine opened." Yeah, and I mean, everybody showed up. My mom had not spoken, her eyes never opened,
Hmm.
but I said, "Hey, whatever." I didn't my thing my oldest sister just said, "Mom, we just we wanna remember you while you're here, and we're just gonna spend time remembering." I actually recorded that whole evening, and I've never listened to it.
Wow.
Almost 15 years ago. And,
Hmm.
yeah, and the next morning, the hospice nurse came by to check on mom, and she said, "Well, your mother is actively dying."
Oh,
And I
wow.
guess that it's a one step closer.
Hmm.
And within 24 hours, 3 of us were there, and, I mean, there'd been no connection, uh, you know, no responsiveness from her, and man, that moment that she passed, it was all those phrases that are the chorus of that are phrases I'd been saying for 15 years. I said
Really?
it Yeah, and so just yeah, And so I think I just went, oh my gosh, this is the song. But it was just came from real conversation, you know?
Wow.
So, and the beautiful thing about reaching out to Tom was at that point in my physical recovery, I was having such issues with my short-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I have a lyric. I need music. Any chance, will you write a song with me? And he said, send me the lyric. I'll let you know in 5 minutes. And I said, great.
That is so dumb.
I know. And then I was like, fantastic. And then I went, well, I've just signed up for the Gong Show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I said, no sacred cows. What do you want to do? Any chance you want to do this? And he had a couple different melody ideas. And anyway, but
before this record, you released 2 compilation projects. I'd love to ask you about them. You released a project called The Hits and one called The Journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really fascinating. I was traveling a few weeks ago with a mutual friend of ours, Ben Shive, and we were speaking at a college together for a few days. And we had this long road trip, and we were discussing projects that we'd worked on that had not seen the light of day for a lot of people, things that we'd really loved that maybe had not done as well as we'd hoped. And then there are other things that we'd worked on that have done really well. And we were discussing what those say about us, what we feel about them, and just our relationship with those journey projects, those journey songs.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I saw those 2 projects of yours, I'm curious for you, what is the relationship between the hits and the journey to you? Where do those sit on the shelf for you? How do they speak to each other? How do you speak with those 2 different parts of your career?
I think for any of us, what stands out about an experience is never what people would guess.
Yeah.
I mean, for any of us, it could be, you know, the big trip. I don't know, but like anything, everybody's experience is so unique. But what you remember about a record or creating music is it's the experience that go into it. It's the actual making of it. It's somebody who's worked their whole life to be able to play a guitar like that, and then just what they naturally respond to what they're, it's like everything, anything creative, it's just like a beautiful collision of all the work that everybody has already done. What a great road trip conversation. And to me, the place we still listen to music is in the car.
For sure. Yeah, I love that those that was the artwork that was chosen for those projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun.
And for what it's worth, I can't even remember right now what songs are on which project.
Yeah, right. Isn't that? I love that. That's actually a perfect answer. Yeah. I think other people often have a different perception of our work than we have, right? Yeah. I'd love to ask you about the cover art for this project. When I saw it, I immediately thought, gosh, that looks like something that Wayne Brzezinska did. And then I zoomed in to see all the different things that were on it. And then I saw that Wayne had actually signed it. And I went, it was Wayne.
Yes.
So then I started zooming in and trying to see all the different things that are on it. Cause it's a collage. It's a picture of you, but it's made out of tons of different, looks like artifacts from your life.
Right.
It's stunning. The work he does is stunning. I'd love to ask you about a couple things that stood out to me.
Okay.
That I think are really, I'm curious about. There's a picture of you and Vince. There's some guitar strings. There's a picture of Tennessee Christmas. Looks like there's maybe an old family photo of you and some other kids. Is that who it is?
My siblings. My 3
That's you and your
sisters.
siblings. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, there's a ticket stub from the University of Illinois Assembly Hall. And I'm like, you've played thousands of concerts. Why the University of Illinois Assembly Hall? Which stood out to me because I'm from Illinois, Central Illinois, and that's where my dad went to college, and that's the room where my dad became a Christian.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
so that's a really special room for me. I've gotten to play in that room. That was really
Oh,
a big day for me. Why is that a big day for you?
I don't remember that
Or is it?
day.
Was it just a random ticket stub?
It was a ticket stub that wasn't even mine. Jennifer, was that your ticket stub? Whose ticket stub was it?
Honestly, don't remember.
There are 2 ticket stubs, maybe 3 on the that's just isn't
Are
that
you
amazing?
kidding?
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. I mean, I was sitting there going, "Where'd you find those ticket stubs?"
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a my my sister has a trash can that we put together from a show I did somewhere, and, like, no tickets sold. And so for Christmas, we made a trash can for my father, and it's just, like, on the exterior, it's all wallpapered with these unsold tickets.
Oh, that's amazing.
And a it's so funny because after my dad passed, I was going, "Oh my gosh, the ticket stub trash can." And my sister Kathy, her husband, Dan Harold, was my manager for so many years, and she said, "Can I please have the trash can?"
That's amazing.
Yeah, but we all yeah, what I love is that, just kind of the happenstance of how different things connect. So, Wayne and I spent 2 days in each other's company,
Hmm.
um, and he would both of them at my house. One day, we had singers in the studio, and I was cooking lunch for everybody, and so he joined me, and then one day was a lot more of him. So the first day was just hang out while we're working, but we're
Yeah,
still talking the whole time,
sure.
and then the second day was he said, "I want you to let's just walk through your life. Show me collections that you have, things
Wow.
that matter to you, anything you can think of." And we're like going from childhood to last year, and then everything we talked about, he'd say, "Can I have that?" And I said, "Are you gonna give it back to me?" And he said, "Well, one way or the other." "Well, can I have that? Can I have those? Can I have that cooking utensil? Can I have that?" And he left after that day, you know, and I was like, I felt s uh, I felt sad
Hmm.
a little bit because he had taken things that mattered to me.
Wow.
I just had to let him go,
Hmm.
and then when I saw what he put together, I went, all of those things one at a time, I would die and they'd just get thrown in the garbage. Nobody would know what they meant to me, but he
Wow.
had spent 2 days trying to get a sense of my wiring.
Wow.
And then he'd ask me for things that were all had to do with that. And yeah, and I got him back in an art form. It's crazy. And then Vince purchased the original piece for
Hmm.
my birthday.
No way.
Yes. And yeah, and yeah, I just was what a gift. I was moved by the whole experience, but it was, like just I don't even know how different things came up. I love maps, and I said, actually, I have a couple of magnetic maps because I always want to with the kids. I want them to know where everything is. And
Yeah.
when we used to drive back and forth across the U.S. and Canada, you had the big Rand McNally, the big maps. You had
Yeah.
to know how to read it. And anyway, and I showed him my best magnetic map, and he was like, "Okay, what are the states that make you think about music?" I said, "Well, obviously Nashville." And of course, I made so many records at Caribou Ranch, right outside of Nederland, Colorado. And
Hmm.
he said, "Can I have those 2 magnets?" Like, everything I talked about, "Can I have that? Can I have that?" I was like, "You're ruining the puzzle." And he said, "May I?" I was like, and but then it's like, "Oh my gosh,
How big
he's
is the painting in real life?
um, I don't know,
Or I guess not a
like
painting, the
the
what would you
collage,
call it? A
yeah.
collage. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess like that. It's so funny because, um, like if somebody came into our house, they would not know I had a music career. I just don't have things around that
Hmm.
have to do with, yeah, because that's like, it's our home, and I don't.
They wouldn't see an award sitting
Mm-mm.
out anywhere. You just have pictures of kids and
Yeah, art
art.
stuff.
Wow.
I just want the things that Vince is different. He has a lot more awards, but to him, like a poster of an event, it's the memory with all those people.
Hmm.
But that, to me, like I moved a painting off the wall and put that
Hmm.
collage up because I was so grateful to Wayne for his creativity.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a family photo in some ways, right?
Yeah, it has the names of of our children, a picture
Hmm.
of my great grandparents. Because when he's saying, "Tell me what's going on in your life," and I'm like, I mean, clearly we talked a long time because,
Yeah.
I said, "Well, for the last 6 years, I've actually been in a legal battle over a 1925 deed signed by my great-grandfather. He was buried right before I turned 6." So, like, we talk about that, but that has been a
Yeah,
huge
that's up in
chunk of.
the corner of the thing, and I've see that in the news every now and then. Yeah,
Yes,
because I
I
live in
know.
Nashville. It
That's
shows up in the
right.
news. Yeah.
Yes, and it's and that's done now. It's reconciled. It's in the past, but it's like he was just he's such a sleuth.
I think
Yes.
he's gonna be honored by this conversation.
Oh my
The
gosh, he
there's
just.
also there's a name in there that sticks out too, Lee Goldfish. What is that
Mhm,
name?
mhm. Well, so I'm not sure when we were talking about books, and
Mhm.
I love books, I love to read, and, anyway, I don't know why. I said, "I actually have the Bible that I was given for my 6th birthday,
Hmm.
and it's in a Ziploc because it's falling apart."
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, and I pulled it out. I said, "This was the first time I ever saw my name embossed on anything, Amy Lee Grant." And he cut that out, and it's, like, down my abdomen.
He cut it out. Wow.
Yes. And so, and I said, I'd never seen my name printed like that, and I said, "I really wished for a different name." I mean, my name was so simple, and so I rewrote what I wished my name was on the inside of the Bible, um, and I wrote Amy K. Lee Goldfish Lynn Grant because a goldfish is shiny, and so my little 6-year-old writing, and so
That's
I know,
incredible.
so Amy K. He included Lee Goldfish, Lynn Grant.
I love that so much.
Isn't that wild?
That's that's such perfect, like, six-year-old logic in, like, the best, sweetest way. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
What a gift to have that
I
on
know.
the project.
Yeah.
And how full circle is that for the the title, "The Me That Remains," to have that piece of your child's play
Mhm.
to still be there?
Yes.
That's really sweet. That's really
Yeah.
precious.
He did a great job. He's a brilliant artist, and, uh and I hope he feels about what he does that all of us creatives feel, and that is that we get swept up in something and then kinda come out on the other side and go, like, if it's a song, to me, I go, "I wonder if anyone will ever wanna hear one of these songs again."
Hmm.
Because, Nashville, or I wonder for him to go, "I wonder if somebody will want to return to this and look at it."
Hmm.
Because as a writer or a singer, what you want is to create something like, so many things are like, "Yeah, once was enough."
Hmm.
So many songs, even a great song, you kinda go like, the best thing you could have said was, "A song I keep returning to." It's like, that's like the dream thing you could say, a painting I want to return to, a
Yeah.
collage, because just, yeah,
Hmm.
it's a noisy world, it's a busy world, what everybody probably needs is a little more silence. Space is peace. But as a
Yeah.
creative to go, "Oh, I hope I create something, anything that somebody wants to return to."
Hmm. That's beautiful. Well, I'd love to change gears. I've got a question I'm really curious about.
Mhm.
And maybe we can end here. But we have something really sort of random in common, but you went to the same middle and high school as some of my daughters,
Mhm.
which is here in Nashville, which is an all-girls school, which is pretty unique. There aren't a lot of them in the
Mhm.
world. And then you and I first really got to work together on a project that was all women, called the Faithful Project.
Mhm.
And the music business is often a pretty male-dominated world. It's a lot of dudes.
It's a lot.
Did your formative years in an all-female space, did that shape you in any ways that you've recognized? And how do you feel about spaces like that now?
Spaces like that are familiar to me.
Hmm.
So, um, my the family I was born into, my mom had a brother, but he died in a car wreck before I was born. He was a teenager. So, family gatherings, and both my grandfathers died before I was born. My great-grandfather died when I was 6. So, a family gathering was my father, his 4 daughters, his wife, his mother, his mother-in-law, his grandmother,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I had a cousin, her name was Glenda Kay. Her middle name was Kay, and she was the only babysitter I ever remembered, and she lived with us. Anyway, so that's all women. So
Wow.
a table of 10 would have been my father
Yeah.
and all
Sounds like
women.
my house. Yeah.
Yes, and so and I loved my dad, and, so, I came from a world of women,
Hmm.
but my experience with men was always positive. And so I think, and then I went to a all-girl high school, 'cause my 3 older sisters had gone there, and, what I loved was I felt that, like, friendships in high school were truly based on common interests. Um, there was no, like, dolling up for school. It really would come as you are. We wore uniforms, you know, I I held the record for the longest amount of time between washing my hair. Um, and that record, yeah, I think it was 14 days. That record was
Wow.
broken in the next generation by my niece. Yeah, and so,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like, but it was kind of a joke. I mean, not a joke, but no, it's a bunch of girls, like, who cares?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
show up, it's
No one to
all
impress. Yeah.
no one to impress. And what was so lovely about that was when it launched me into a public life, I didn't and right out of high school, I didn't there was nothing in me that felt like how I looked was the most important thing.
Hmm.
Um, Deanna Hemby, she's has been my assistant for 40 years.
Wow.
And we were on a trip one time, and she said, "I know you feel pretty on the inside, but I think you need a little attention to the outside."
Oh my
And I
gosh.
went, "Okay, right."
That's such a kind way of saying
It's such a
something.
kind
Yeah.
way, yeah. So, but it's so funny, like, yeah, I love the frame of reference from which my life emerged,
Hmm.
and I think it set patterns in me for what matters, and, um, and and what to look for. I don't know. I mean, you know, we're all kind of in ways products of and affected by our environment. And sometimes it's somebody can come out of one situation and go, I don't want to be anything like that.
Sure.
Nothing like
Sure.
that. But yeah, I didn't, it was never a conscious thought, but I'm so glad for just my wiring and nature and nurture. And I felt like it prepared me in a really in ways that I don't even know
Yeah.
to make life. I've worked very hard, but it's always there's not any. Yeah, I'm just grateful for it. Everybody works hard at something.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's a unique kind of origin story, but it's a sweet thing. Well, you mentioned just a bit ago that you think everybody needs a bit of space. Everybody needs a bit of quiet. And um, you know, you made a lot of pop music and you've done a lot of big concerts, but there's a sense of peace on this project. Um, there are a lot of moments of kind of stillness and sort of invitation. Is that something that you hope that you can sort of leave people with on this project?
Yes, I hadn't thought about it that way. I love that you use that word invitation. Whatever that collection of songs to me is age appropriate. And
I hear that. Yeah.
yeah, and it's different. It's different making music in your 60s. And I don't, you know, when I was a young girl and kind of an awkward teenager, I loved a phrase that my mother repeated often. And it was like, hey, a woman's most beautiful years are 35 to 45. Don't worry about now. 35 to 45, because she still has youth in her body and wisdom. That makes a woman beautiful. And I was so glad I married Vince when I did. Before my 40th birthday, he got half of my good years. But I have loved making music at this time in life because most of the women interviewing me are in their prime. Which I would say now, I'd say 35 to 50. Everybody just takes better care of themselves. But I love hearing my mom's voice. I love, yeah, it just feels so great to be at a different stage in life and not have that pressure for myself.
Yeah, I hear that. I don't hear pressure on this project. And sometimes you'll hear a project from someone who, you know, who's made a number of projects and you can hear they're trying to be 23 when they're in their 60s or 70s. And it's like, Mick Jagger, we know you're not, you know, wow, it just gave me a thumbs up on the screen. That's silly. You know, we know you're not still dating 23. Well, maybe he is still dating 23-year-olds, but you shouldn't be, Mick Jagger, you know. And but there's something about the gracefulness of being where you are, and I want to hear, Amy, where you are right now and who you are right now, because I've been listening to you my whole life, and it's a gift to me to get to process my life through the artists that I follow and care about, and to get to hear them faithfully make beautiful things as they grow. So thank you for doing that. It's a gift to us.
Thanks for saying that.
And thanks for talking with me today. This has been wonderful. So congrats on the new record. And I hope that it just finds a lot of people right where they need it.
Thank you.
Amy, this is a treat.
Yeah, it was such a treat. I was going, who's the last interview? She's like, Andrew. I'm like, oh, yay.
That was pretty special, wasn't it? Amy's album, The Me That Remains, is, out everywhere that you can listen to music. And you can buy the vinyl, which will let you see that amazing artwork of Wayne Brzezinska's in a nice big piece of art hanging on your wall. Also, Amy's on tour, and I've got some friends that are on the road with her or who work with her. I've seen a bunch of shows and say that these are some of the best shows she's done in a really, really long time. She's kind of invigorated right now. So if you've wanted to see Amy and haven't seen her in a long time, now's the time. Go catch a show on this tour. You are going to be glad you did. If you like this podcast and are curious about what we're doing here, there's a lot of great episodes that we've done in the past. Go check those out. We put episodes out every 2 weeks. Would love to have you stick around. There are a lot of ways you can connect with me. I've got music on Spotify and Apple Music, including those hymns that I recorded out at Amy's place. I put out my first book this past October called How to Remember. You can get that on Amazon, any of the usual places. And I write every week on Substack about faith and music and art and culture and the church. And we have all kinds of interesting conversations there. I'm doing a series about why we sing the songs we do on Sundays. And that's been a lot of fun. Occasionally gets a little heated in the comment section, but what's the internet for, right? And I'm also working on a series of liturgy books that are going to come out in October, sort of the message meets the Book of Common Prayer. And I'm getting to kind of work that out in public there with the folks that hang out on the Substack. So if any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, come on over and say hello. And you can sign up on the mailing list there and you'll be able to stay in touch. I want to say thanks to my production company, 4 Eyes Media, for making this happen, and obviously Amy's management, Jen, and her whole team. All right. Thank you guys so much. School's out. Summer's starting. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another truly amazing episode. You're going to want to catch that. But for now, go do something awesome.